IP stands for intellectual property, and it's a field actually defined by law. You have law firms that work with intellectual property, and you have IP boutique firms that work with intellectual property. And that means that you always have a legal perspective on very important assets. That does also create problems because IP, or intellectual property, really addresses property. So I saw a need to actually look at intellectual property as a value driver and not a cost driver, which legal services tend to be. And since there is no intersection of a commercial perspective and legal perspectives, I saw that we needed to combine these services, and that is the cavity that we are trying to fill. So what we have done is we have combined the legal work with also business consulting. And this is something which is very uncommon in the world.
The problems we're trying to solve with our clients is to identify where and how they generate assets that could create competitive advantage in the long term. It's all about context. So we spend a lot of time figuring out what kind of context is the client in. Once we figure that out, once we have listed a set of things they do on a daily basis, we started analyzing them from the perspective of what kind of value they are generating and how unique they are in relation to other players in the market, competitors, etc. The second step we do is to figure out how and where should we apply intellectual property or other legal instruments to protect these values that they are generating. And the third step would be typically helping the client change their mindset regarding these things, change their mindset around their context, and change their mindset how they use intellectual property and legal instruments to support growth and innovation.
The issues that we address are actually cross-functional. So in order to create a good service, we also need to make the client understand that they have to be able to receive the knowledge that we create. And the reception of this knowledge addresses many different individuals within the entity.
With implementation, we have three core dimensions we look at. We look at the organization, the processes they need to deploy, and the tools they have or need to have. Managing intellectual property is a multi-talent or multi-competence issue. So you need to have processes and organizations that are cross-functional to be able to properly work with intellectual property and also the commercial side of it. And then we also help them set up tools, create directives, support decisions, systems, etc., in order to actually do this in an efficient and effective manner.
IPQ has seen so many corporations not really unleashing the value that they have. The reason for that is often organizational, but also that people are skilled in the art and that they do not have a holistic perspective on things. So I would say that our greatest invention at IPQ is actually an organizational structure where very competent people from different fields can work and address problems jointly to the benefit of our clients.
We have a client in the construction industry which we help to build protection and control around a specific innovation targeting digitalization. So what they have done is they've built a model for pushing information between different stakeholders. The market value of this innovation is somewhere around 70 million euros. And what we are helping them figure out is how they protect this and control this over time. So the return of investment actually is guaranteed. So we're working with both intellectual property instruments, but also other legal instruments, trying to help them build this protection. In this particular case, the value of our services is estimated to be around 35 million euros. The value of our services is subjected to what kind of business model the client has. If they have a volume business model or a commoditized business model, we typically generate values in the 10 to 25%. We apply our logic and services. And if it's a value-driven business model, it could be in the range of 50–60%. Over the next 5 years, IPQ will broaden our offering in terms of legal services, but also commercial services. We also have to start offering implementation services to our clients in a broader sense than we do today, to actually help them build protection and control around innovation.
Our challenge is to evidence and create valuable intellectual property. ITQ has combined the traditional legal skills on how to protect IP, how to identify competitive advantages and secure them through other legal means, but also to identify the value from a commercial perspective on the innovation, which has to always be the first step before starting to use the legal tools. So that is really the driving force for us, to help entities to unleash more power.